this all though starts with getting really clear on why you're doing this for yourself. What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Macro Hour with Nikkiey, co-founder of WarriorBabe. And on this podcast, we talk about mindset, methodologies, and tactics that will help you lose body fat, build muscle, be strong, and feel insanely confident. I'm your host, Nikkiey, and welcome to episode number 40. Dang! 40, guys. We are here. That's crazy. But today, I'm super excited to be here with you guys and to share in one of our pillars, mindset. So I'm going to go down the mindset hole with you all on a really important topic that I think and believe that everybody should have established for themselves. And that is your why. Your why. Why do you want the goals that you're going for? Why do you want to accomplish these things? Why do you want to attain this, ideal result with your body composition? Why? I think that's really important, guys, to really harp on and to really understand for yourself. And it's very individualized. It could be, I want to be a role model for my kids. I want to be strong when my grandkids are when they're running around. I want to play with them. I want to feel more confident in my own skin. I want to, combat the health things that run in my family. Why? So when I ask you that, what are your reasons why that you want to accomplish these things for yourself? And let's get away from the aesthetics. Let's get away from I want to look a certain way. It's cool. You want to feel confident in your skin, man. I so respect that. But what are the deeper reasons why? Why? Just put on your hand, permanent marker, why, in big caps. And really take some time to come up with what that answer is for you. Because once you establish that why, guys, so strength develops within you. Once you establish this deeply seated reason why, that why will give you energy to your burning desire and the visions that you have to become what you want to become. Person, body, health, all of the things. Your mind will then become loaded with these strong reasons to create action towards what you want. It's so powerful, you guys, I did an episode, I think it was episode number 4. So all the way back at the beginning of the podcast. Who do you want to become? These two kind of go together very, very synergistically. It's who you want to become and why do you want to become it, right? So when you have the why and when you have the vision of what you want, your mind's going to become loaded with these strong reasons to create actions towards getting that and getting what you want. And what's really powerful is that you're able to see these things, have these reasons, and start acting in alignment towards that person. And that's just so powerful. And the way that happens is you pull energy from those visions and those ideas. So when you vision what you are working for, then that is where all this energy necessary to achieve the results can be found. So you create new ideas from these new thoughts you have of who you want to become and the body that you want to accomplish. So you can get for example, to get a little bit, more away from woo-woo stuff, but it's so true, man. It's so true. When you have these things for yourself and you have this vision, you have these reasons why, there's other things, it's just so easy for you to embark on your journey. It's so easy for you to have clarity. It's so easy for you to have increased motivation on a daily basis. It's so easy for you to create accountability for yourself. It's so easy to overcome any obstacles, which I'm going to talk on in a second. And it just provides a huge sense of fulfillment for yourself when you have these things, when you have your why and you also have a vision that you're working towards for yourself. But for an example, when you have these new ideas and these new thoughts of who you want to become and the body that you want to accomplish, and you start thinking in alignment with the person that's already accomplished that, and you start taking action on a daily basis, you then get so creative. And like, I'll share a story of how this happened to me, but this first an example, you can get so creative when you're traveling for you to stay on track. You can get creative how to plan your meals when resources aren't optimal. And so like a story, a couple episodes ago, I think I shared this with you guys. Oh yeah, it was when I was traveling. When I was traveling with my mom, like I think I was 7, I actually had, it's crazy that I recorded that podcast and then I'm doing this again, but I literally had a memory pop up on Facebook of 7 years ago. This was the time I was traveling. So it's just side note, wild. But anyway, when I was traveling with her, resources weren't optimal. Like had a cooler, and then I didn't have the thoughts and ideas until it was there in the moment. But I was always like, how would my future self respond? How would the person that has achieved these goals respond right now? And by just asking that, ideas came, thoughts came, new ways of taking action came to me in that moment. So for that podcast, if you haven't listened to it, I said that I packed all my meals inside of a cooler and put ice in the cooler. But then I was like, oh shit, like how is this food going to stay fresh as we're staying in the hotel? And in that moment, I was like, think from the end, Nikki, think from the end. Like I didn't say in that podcast, but this was actually happening in the moment when I was in the hotel. I was like, okay, well, there's an ice machine down the hallway. There's a tub, like empty out the ice and go fill up new ice with the ice maker down the hallway, and just use a tub as like your holding dock, right? And dude, guys, like I didn't have those thoughts before, but until I asked myself, how would my future self respond, or how would my, person that's achieving the end state respond? These new thoughts came into play, and they gave me creative ways on how to stay on track while I was traveling, or creative ways to think outside the box when my resources weren't totally optimal given the places that I was staying in, right? So like, but this is all because I had a reason why. I really wanted to achieve something for myself that I've never done before. I wanted to take on new understanding, new learnings, and I wanted to feel more confident in my own skin. That was the things that started up my journey. And then it developed into just like longevity and sustainability and having, for me, definitely combating things in my family that my family has chosen I haven't shared the story with you guys, but they have addictive tendencies, and my family on my dad's side has addictive tendencies to drugs and alcohol. And so I look at myself as a transitional character that I have addictive tendencies for health in the gym. And so a little in on the story, I'll share more maybe in future podcasts, but because I had this deep-seated why, and I have these reasons as to the things that I want to accomplish for myself, and I have this vision for myself, that I was able to pull these visions and these ideas and this energy and these thoughts and all of these things that I wanted to, needed to really just act in the moment on in order to be still in alignment with my future self, right? Because like I talked about this in episode 4, but for you guys that may have a hard time visioning, right? Or being a visionary for yourself, it's just like, what does that person look like at the end, right? What does that person look like that's accomplishing these goals that you want to accomplish? What is she doing? What is she how is she talking? How is she acting on a daily basis? I mean, that person is not going to flop on her macros and her meal plan consistently, because that's not going to get her the results, right? That person isn't going to miss all of her workouts in a week, because that's not going to get her the results. So like, think about how that person is acting in that state of mind, if you can see it, and then you need to start acting as if that person right now. So when I was away traveling, I was like, okay, what are some things that this person, how would this person think in this end state? And then like these small little ideas of like using the ice thing down the hallway and then using the tub as like my holding ground and emptying out the ice, like all came to me, you guys, like no joke. And there's a plethora of other examples that if I thought about, I would be able to share. But that's just one. I thought that was a really good one. But if you have these reasons why for yourself and you have this vision that you're holding, you'll have this strength develop it within you. Your brain will become loaded with these strong reasons to create actions towards you, what you want. And then you also pull energy from those vision, and you pull ideas from those vision, as I just shared with you. So, it could just be summer's coming up. How are you going to stay on point? Well, how is your future self acting in the moments of summer? Like, what does that person look like? Is she drinking every single day? Probably not. Is she making better food choices on a daily basis when she's traveling? Yes. So like, you have the idea. It's just on you now to be able to act in the moment right now as if you were her. Hey, just want to drop a huge appreciation to you guys listening to the show. It means a lot. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and there's so much more to come with it. If you are enjoying it, hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate that tons. And also, it would help this podcast reach others who need to hear these messages too. Thanks so much, guys. Let's get back to the show. It's more than just like, what's your why? It's like, dude, if you have your why, all of these things happen. And you always have something to rely on for you to fall back on when you need to remember your why. When you have your why, like I said, provides you clarity, it increases your motivation, it increases accountability for you. It helps you overcome obstacles, which I want to talk about now, because you will have days full of resistance. Like, you will have days where you fail and you fall back and you do all of these old habits, and like that is inevitable. It's going to happen. I talked in a podcast on failure and how to overcome failure when you're on your fitness journey. I can't remember what episode that was, but it was, I think, a recent one. So I would definitely go back and listen to that one too as well. When you have those days, when and if you have those days, you cannot beat yourself up. Like, the most important thing that you can do when you fail, or when you have and fall back into old habits, or when you have just like days where you just don't feel like doing anything, don't beat yourself up. Learn from those moments and move on. Okay. So like, if you work out 4 days in a week, like that's your programming, and let's say Monday and Tuesday you just didn't feel like it, dude, look, you got to look at it like this. There's still 5 more days in the week to get those workouts done. So like, don't beat yourself up because you didn't work out Monday or Tuesday. Now learn from those moments, let them happen, and then the next day go crush your workout. If you're ever off on your macros for a day or two, don't beat yourself up. Or if you overeat or whatever, don't beat yourself up. These are moments that you're going to experience. But most importantly, to tie it back to your why, when you're overcoming resistance and you're overcoming these things, it is so important for you to remember your strong reasons why, and remembering your visions and the feelings of your goals accomplished, right? It's so important to remember why you started this journey for yourself, right? And it's like, okay, so all of these things happened yesterday, the day before, and now, I'm feeling this type of emotion still a little bit. I'm feeling this resistance a little bit, but like, no, not today. It's not going to happen. I'm in control of this, and this does not serve me and who I am becoming. So I learned from these things, and now I'm going to take on the right actions and the right steps forward into who I want to become and the reasons why I'm doing this whole journey for myself. When you're experiencing resistance, you guys, that is one of the, like, just thinking about, oh, why am I doing this? My kids. That's like a big reason for you to go and do the things that you probably don't feel like doing, right? Like, if you are a proud mom, then hearing the why being reminded to you, I'm doing this for my kids, that should have a hard pattern interrupt for you to go do the things that you promised yourself you were going to do, or like harness your why even more. Or like, if you're older and you have grandkids, it's like, I talked about the 2 paths after and during menopause. It's like, if you don't choose the path of eating right and strength training, it's like, the 20 years after you've experienced menopause could be completely different than like if you do choose those things and you choose to eat right and you choose to strength train. 20 years later can be completely different than if you don't choose to do those things. So it's like, what's your why? Do you want to be super strong when you're 70 years old and you want to be running after your grandkids? Then like, dude, when you're experiencing resistance, like that, it's instead of beating yourself up, remind yourself of why you're doing this. And the more that you do that, you guys, the more, because like, again, you're going to experience those things, but the more that you attach to your why and the vision of what you're becoming and who you want to become, so much commitment grows here. Commitment to yourself is what is on the other side of the emotion of once the emotion and the resistance is gone. So like when you break through that resistance or you allow it to ruminate, and then the next day you're like, nope, I'm not doing all of those things, or I'm not going to allow myself to not take action. You're making, and you do start taking the action, you're making a commitment to yourself, which a commitment is what is on the other side of all of this emotion that you're feeling and of once that resistance is completely gone. So once you then act, you're making a commitment towards your future self with those actions. And you'll notice that the more that you do this over and over and over again, like you'll feel resistance, but like you'll be able to snap out of it really quick. Maybe at the beginning, like you have maybe a couple of days that you'll feel this, or like a week that you feel this. But the more that you practice what I'm sharing with you right now here, you'll be able to snap out of it way quicker. And then the commitment just gets stronger and stronger and stronger to almost where those things don't even happen as strongly as they probably would in future scenarios. And from here, you guys, this is like the next stage up is like where habits form. Like as you continually break through the emotions of resistance, the emotions of like falling back into old habits and grow your commitment, this is how your new habits form. Now, things that you once thought were tough and challenging or tempting will be so easy to manage and get through. Like I promise you, like I've done this. There's things that I probably would never fall back into, or if I do, it would be really hard for me to snap out of it because it's not my lifestyle anymore. And I've seen this with all of the thousands of women that we've helped inside of WarriorBabe. It's like, dude, they're like, man, I can't even imagine my life like before WarriorBabe, because it's not just like, here, follow this diet and do this exercise plan. It's like, no, man, mindset is a huge pillar with our babes. You have to get the mindset right. You have to understand the things that we're trying to teach you, because you have to implement these things. You have to make the commitment. You have to have your why, because this is how strong new habits form for all of the things moving forward. And like, you're going to be able to build up on these strong habits to support your future self and support your why and support your goals and all of these things. So super powerful, you guys, to put these things that I'm sharing with you in this podcast into action. Like you have to clearly identify what your why is. And because when you do, and you're like, I just talked about overcoming resistance and taking action and then commitment and then habits form. It's like, those are all actions towards your future self. And so for example, like if you don't believe that you can do math, or you don't believe that you can do these things that I'm saying here, you don't believe that you can achieve these goals, well, guess what? You're going to take less action to do those things. You're never going to try. You're never going to learn. You're just going to let it go. You're going to let it go. You're going to give up. And the result is that you're not going to be good at math, or you're not going to be good at getting the results that you want or wish that you could get within your own body. And so if you believe, though, that you can get these results, that it is totally possible for you. You just have, the thing here is you just have to get the fuck out of your own way. But if you believe these things, you're going to take the action. You're going to try. You're going to take everything seriously. You're going to do the work, and you're going to become good at all of these things. You're going to become making good at the commitments to yourself. You're going to become good at forming these new habits for yourself, and you're going to get to where you want to be. So it's like, different actions lead to different results. And the more action you take, the more of the result that you want from that action you're going to get. The less action that you take, the less result that you're going to get. And I call it like this feedback loop, right? This is a huge feedback loop. You take the action or you don't take the action. It determines the type of result you're going to get. So let's just say you don't do anything that I'm teaching you here today. You don't do anything I'm teaching you here in this podcast. You're not going to get the results that you want. And then the feedback to you is that you suck, that you're just like this excuse maker, and there's a low vibe type of energy. And then the belief is the next one, and you don't believe in yourself. Or like, let's talk about the flip here. You take action, you do the things I'm sharing with you here today and on this podcast. You get off of here and you're like actually thinking about what your why is. And maybe you spend the evening tonight getting really clear on what your why is, even if it's just like what I said. I gave some examples, man. Take that and make it into your own thought process. But let's say you do take those actions. The result, you're getting more of the result. You're starting to really think and gain energy and thoughts and ideas from that future of why you want this and who you're trying to become. And then you get feedback. And this feedback is like, these are all these new ideas and all these new things. You get excited to go take action tomorrow. And you're really starting to be like, yes, I get this. I can do it, which leads into the belief. And the belief is I can do this. I believe in myself that I can because of all of these other, it's a part of the feedback loop, all of these other things, the feedback, the results, the action. Now you believe, and then it just causes you to take more action, get more results, positive feedback, belief again, and it just keeps going, you guys. Okay, so this all though starts with getting really clear on why you're doing this for yourself. Yourself. That's the key word too. Put yourself first. You deserve it. And then the people around you deserve you at your best. So what is your why? Why are you doing this? Why do you want these results? Get clear on that. That's my challenge to you today. Take the evening, take tomorrow, the next day to think about this. Write it down and then look at it every single day. Even when you don't feel like doing it, even when you don't feel like doing anything, look at it. And I guarantee you thoughts will be different. All right. Everything that I share with you, it all starts with getting and harnessing your why. All right, you guys, I hope you found this podcast super helpful. I love talking about this stuff. Mindset is so important. So important. And these are why. All the things, commitment, habits, all these things form by having a supportive mindset to who you are becoming. Real quick, the only ask I could ever have of you guys is to help spread the word so we can help more women lose body fat, build muscle, reach their goals, and feel insanely confident. And the only way we can do that is if you rate, review, and share this podcast. So the single thing I ask for you to do is if you could leave a review. It will take you 10 seconds, and it will mean the absolute world to me and may change the world of someone else.